All right, welcome back to World History with Mr. McCall. Today, what I want to do is I want to give us a brief roadmap on what we're about to start studying. We are about to start studying the rise of Sumerian city-states, and before we do that, I'd like to review where we've left, where we've been coming from. So let's take a look. We come over here. We started, this unit is about the patterns of population growth. Earlier, we talked about early hominids. Most recently, we just finished talking about hunters and gatherers and their transition to farming. Specifically, we answered this essential question: how did the development of agriculture change daily life in the Neolithic Age, or the New Stone Age? So now we're ready. We've learned about agriculture. Now we're ready to move on to the rise of Sumerian city-states, right here. All right, so what is our essential question? What is it that we're going to be studying? Well, the essential question that I want everybody to be able to answer by the time we finish studying this section is: how did geographic challenges lead to the rise of city-states in Mesopotamia? There were specific problems with the land in Mesopotamia that the Sumerians had to address. Next up, the key vocabulary. You can't be successful in this unit, this lesson, without the key vocabulary. You need to know Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia literally means the land between two rivers. What rivers? Well, that's the next thing we have here. The Tigris River and the Euphrates River. Those are the two rivers that surround Mesopotamia. Made it an excellent place for farming because they had really good soil, but they also had to deal with floods. Now, one of the regions in Mesopotamia that is the furthest south, it's really southeast Mesopotamia, that's Sumer. All right, Sumer is the first place that we actually see city-states. Now, that is not Sumer, that is Sumer, right here, Sumer. Now, they have water, but it's not always where they want it, when they want it, so they have to develop irrigation systems. They do have to deal with floods, so what they do is they build walls around their rivers. They call those levees. The levees are designed to keep the flood waters from destroying your crops. They also had to deal with silt. Silt is this really fine rock particle that can make for really fertile soil, but it can also clog your irrigation system. And finally, we have city-states. City-states are independent cities. So basically, it's a city that has its own government, religion. It's basically independent, but it's just a city. It's not an empire, it's not a country. So the city-states are actually built to try to address the problems that they're going through in their region. All right, so the first lesson that we're going to have, the first video you'll see, is geographic problems and solutions in Mesopotamia. The Mesopotamians are going to be dealing with some very specific geographical problems, and we're going to discuss the solutions that they came up with. It's very important to be able to come up with solutions and have a set plan to come up with solutions, because we're all going to run into problems. They run into problems, and we'll talk about how they solved it. Next up, we have a lesson on Mesopotamians and how they modify their physical environment. So what they do with irrigation systems, levees, and city-states, city walls, to modify their physical environment. And finally, we'll wrap up with developing agricultural techniques. We'll talk about some of those techniques that the Sumerians or the Mesopotamians develop to help them create a bigger population, have more food, a bigger stable food supply. So this is what we will be studying under the rise of Sumerian city-states. You can probably see off to the right what's coming up next. And just briefly, I'll discuss what is coming up next. Next is going to be ancient Sumer. After we discuss ancient Sumer, then we're going to get into geography and early settlement of India. So, good times around the bend. This is World History with Mr. McCall. I hope this has been edifying. Take care.